Vicky and your spouse, Speaker of the Senate, Amason Jeva Kingi, Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, present here with us, Your Ladyship, the Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, Martha Koome, Governor of Nairobi, Sakaja, the leadership of the two houses of Parliament, Honorable Ichungwa, Honorable Junet, Honorable Aaron Cheriot, and Honorable Matzayo, our whips, our guest speaker, Rick Bolden from the United States of America, cabinet ministers present, PSs, invited guests, and our host congregation members of Parliament. We welcome you here today, and I hope those who will speak before me have established the protocols. In the interest of time, you'll just ride on that. Honorable guests present, our choirs, our youth team, fellow Kenyans watching us today. It's a great pleasure for me to stand before you today at this historic and important event of the 22nd National Prayer Breakfast, a fellowship occasion and tradition that not only strengthens our national unity, but also reaffirms our enduring conviction that the destiny of our beloved country is firmly anchored in God. To begin with, allow me to commend the Parliamentary Prayer Breakfast Organizing Committee for its exemplary leadership under the Honorable Samuel Chepkonga MP and Senator Daniel Maanzo MP, who co-chair the National Prayer Breakfast Committee, for their steadfast dedication in organizing this sacred gathering. I'm pleased to note that the National Prayer Breakfast has over the years evolved into more than just an annual tradition. It has become a spiritual pillar, a solemn moment when leaders from across the political, religious, and social spectrum gather to seek divine guidance, renew our sense of purpose, and recommit to the values that bind us together as a nation under God. Indeed, our Constitution, which we hold sacrosanct, has a preamble that acknowledges the supremacy of the Almighty God of all creation. Your Excellency, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, this year's prayer breakfast, as themed Rise and Rebuild, calls upon all of us, both leaders and citizens, to awaken to a higher sense of duty, stand united in purpose, anchor our aspirations in faith, resolve, and to rebuild our great nation. It is a construct that obligates all of us to lift our country to a new level and standing. The work of rebuilding the nation is a duty for all of us, and not just that of the government. We must look at ourselves and see our true condition to deal effectively with our situation, for within every reflection lies the essence of what we can transform. Our socio-political and economic development must be underpinned by a value system where respect for all and among all should reign. We must hold dearly values such as respect, truth, love, justice, dignity, hard work, and equality. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as the Bible in the book of Nehemiah 2:18 reminds us, then I told them about how the gracious hand of God had been on me. They replied at once, yes, let's rise up and build. So they began this good work. Today the gracious hand of God is on us. Let us rise up and build our nation. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, in the same vein, like the people of Jerusalem who rallied to rebuild their broken walls, we are also being called individually and collectively to rise and rebuild the spiritual, economic, moral, and political foundations of our republic. This rebuilding, however, is not solely the work of hands. It is first and foremost the work of the heart, the mind, and the spirit. It requires unity, faith, integrity, fidelity, and above all, hope in the enduring providence of God. Under the leadership of Your Excellency, our nation is charting a deliberate course towards renewal economically, morally, and institutionally. It is upon us as leaders, with the people's trust, to build with integrity, to lead with courage, and to serve with humility, knowing that with God, all things are possible. Your Excellency, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, we meet at a time when our nation is steadily navigating complex socioeconomic dynamics. We are all enjoined to support the government of Kenya as it continues to make deliberate and sustained efforts to ease the cost of living for the citizens, manage public debt responsibly, create significant opportunities for our youth. These are not simple tasks, but they reflect the administration's resolute commitment to economic stability, inclusivity, and long-term prosperity. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Parliament remains steadfast in supporting a comprehensive economic transformation agenda, one anchored in prudent fiscal management, job creation, spiritual reform, and the protection and care of our most vulnerable citizens, among others. After all, our nation is judged by how the most vulnerable in society are faring on, and we must work to ameliorate their conditions. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, in the recent past, our nation has undergone many challenges. It is when we are faced with these challenges that we must remember that they are all products of human folly, and the solutions lie with ourselves. People are the source of evil, and people are the solution to the same. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the book that I read many years back, The Gulag Archipelago, written in 1918 by Alexander Solzhenitsyn from Russia, he says, and I quote, "The line separating and dividing good and evil passes not through states, nor between classes, nor between political parties either, but right through every human heart. This line shifts. Inside us, it oscillates with years. And even within hearts overwhelmed by evil, one small bridgehead is always retained. And I pray that that small bridgehead retained be you and I, to rise and build our country. Let this prayer gathering be also a testimony that in the face of adversity, we choose to work together, not apart. We choose to leap into hope, not in despair. We choose to rise and not to sink, and not to retreat, but to move forward. May we, in our reflection, find unlimited source of inspiration, a fuel of faith and hope. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, to the clergy and spiritual leaders across this country, I urge you to remain the beacons of peace and reconciliation. Preach forgiveness, promote unity, and proclaim hope for our country. The voice of the people is the voice of God and must always echo the following words of Jesus Christ. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. In the same light, I'm reminded of the words of the late Pope Francis, where he gave an analogy for understanding how the church should approach its mission. He likened the church to a field hospital after battle where the wounded and suffering come to for compassion and healing rather than legalism. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, this prayer breakfast is not just an important gathering, it's a clarion call to rise above self-interest, to rebuild our nation with the stones of love and integrity, and to re-anchor our leadership in godly service. Let us live here not only with hopeful hearts, but also with determined minds and willing hands. To our President, you have been receiving unkind references from some of our compatriots. Take protection in the teaching of the Holy Book. In the book of Isaiah 54:17, and I quote, "No weapon formed against you will prosper." God never said that weapons would not be formed. Rather, he said that the weapons as formed will not prosper. They'll always be formed, they will not prosper. This book of Isaiah further teaches us that great leaders never lose sight of the big picture. We encourage you, Your Excellency, to remain such a great leader with a focus on the big picture for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation once more to the organizers of this year's National Prayer Breakfast for creating this sacred space for introspection and renewal. May this day stir in us a deeper commitment to serve our country with honor, wisdom, and the absolute reference to God. Let me acknowledge the presence of our clerks of the two houses, with whom we constantly work to make these things happen. As I conclude, I urge Kenyans, all of us here assembled, not to suffer from unhelpful amnesia. And I give you a small joke of a man who was unwell, walks to a doctor and tells the doctor, "Doctor, I have a very serious problem." The doctor asks him, "What is this problem?" He says, "Every time I think of something or do something, within a very short time, I can't remember it." The doctor asked him, "Exactly when did this problem start?" He said, "Which problem?" Thank you, and may God bless you.